Russian intervention in Syria changed the balance of power in that war right now. Do you see the end of the conflict, and how will Syria and entire Middle East look at its end?
This is where Christian eschatology and Islamic eschatology has to take over and help political science. Yes, I am myself a student of international politics and international economics and so on, so I know the subject. But I tell you, the tools of political analysis are inadequate. You need eschatology. And Christian eschatology and Islamic eschatology has to come together and interact with each other, because there's that in Christian eschatology which we don't have, and there's that in Islamic eschatology that you don't have. So I have to learn, I have to listen, I have to benefit from Christian eschatology. And I hope that the Christian will also want to listen and learn from what I have to offer in Islamic eschatology. The eschatological perspective that we bring allows us to recognize that we are now located at a moment in the historical process which is a moment of transition from, in the same way there was transition from Pax Britannica to Pax Americana. We are now in transition from Pax Americana to something which is to come after it. We recognize it to be Pax Judaica. Pax means peace, but there's nothing peaceful about it. There's only blood and lies. So the name Pax is a misnomer. This so-called Pax Judaica is to replace Pax Americana, which is why the US dollar is now in irreversible decline, which is why the United States as a power in the world, the ruling state, is now in irreversible decline. And we recognize that in order for Pax Americana to replace Pax Britannica, not only was there a requirement for change in the monetary system, with the British pound giving way to the US dollar, but great wars had to be fought. First World War and Second World War. Millions had to die. Similarly, we say that in order for Pax Judaica to replace Pax Americana, you need a big war or wars. What we've been having so far may be defined as the hors d'oeuvres of the war which is to come. The eschatology in Christianity says it's Armageddon. In Islam it's called the Malhama, and all the Muslims know about it. My eschatological viewpoint is that we are now approaching that big war, and that it's going to be a nuclear war, and the pieces are now in place. Once Russia has intervened militarily in Syria, and Russia has done that, Russia is not going to back out. Russia is not going to scale down her involvement. Once Russia has intervened, the NATO opponent has to augment his involvement. He has to come into the scene publicly, the way Russia has come into the scene publicly. And as NATO does that, Russia will respond. NATO much prefers to fight Libya. Yeah. Because you can fight Libya and you can go home and have dinner. But you can't do that with Russia. The nice thing about the Muslim-Christian alliance, which supports Russia, which I'm working for, is that Muslims and Christians are not afraid to die because of our faith. If millions have to die, Daniel, in order for the oppressor to bite the dust, we don't mind dying. But those who are in the American Armed Forces because of a green card, they don't want to die. No. So they're scared of nuclear war. So I don't think Russia wants nuclear war. But Russia is saying, we are not afraid of you. I don't think the US armed forces want nuclear war because they're scared of death. But there are those who do want nuclear war. And it's time for Bosnia to understand that. There are those who do want nuclear war, and Bosnia knows who they are. I don't have to tell Bosnia that. They want nuclear war because they want to rule the world. They want to succeed the United States as the next ruling state. But Israel is too small. It is either that Israel must expand to become a much bigger state, to become a successor to the United States, or the world has to become smaller. Which one will it be? You know the answer, Daniel. That's why they want nuclear war. So that what is left of the world after nuclear war, Israel can easily manage to rule. And when Israel becomes the ruling state in the world, then at that time, our Prophet has said, at that time, a day like a week for Dajjal, the Antichrist, would have come. And then after that, the Antichrist or Dajjal will emerge as a human being in Jerusalem and declare he's the Messiah. This is eschatology. So yes, my answer is, we are now steering nuclear war in the fish. How do we respond? Number one, do not be afraid of death. I know the Christians are not afraid of death. And I want to say to my Muslim brothers also, you must not be afraid of death. No. If death has to come, let it come. Don't run from the battlefield because you're afraid of death. If nuclear war is to come, whose side are you on? Are you on the side of the godless oppressor, who now a man can marry another man and get a marriage certificate? Is that where your heart is? Don't you have any sense in your head? Or is your loyalty to the one who is standing up to the oppressor? In the Quran there is Zulqarnain. Qarnain means 2 ages. A first age before Gog and Magog was released, and a second age afterwards. And in Surah Al-Kahf of the Quran, power in that region of the world in which the Black Sea is located, power rested on the foundations of faith, and power was used to punish the oppressor. The Quran is telling us that in time to come, in that same region of the Black Sea, and Daniel, you know that Crimea is in the Black Sea. Don't forget that. Crimea is in the Black Sea. In that region of the world, destiny is that power will once more rest on the foundations of faith. Even after the Bolshevik Revolution, the Jewish Bolshevik Revolution, even after communism, even after the Soviet Union, Russia is returning to her spiritual heart. Their heart is barbarian. That's why a man can marry another man and get a marriage certificate. But Russia's heart is spiritual. Can't you see that? Power is there in Russia, and they have to respect it. That power is now resting on the foundations of faith. If you don't know it, I'm telling you that. And now the world will see what is there in the Quran. That power is going to be used to punish the oppressor. So where should you be in this coming confrontation? You should be on the side of Russia. So I am sending a message to the Muslim world. Don't expect the American Republic of Pakistan to join with Russia, or the American Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to join with Russia. No. It is you, the people. You have to join, particularly if you are in the Russian Federation. Join the Russian armed forces. They are buying people for ISIS with $1,000 a day. You're not people to be bought and sold. Join the Russian armed forces and be on this side in that coming war. And if you are a young man in Saudi Arabia, come and join the armed forces of Russia. So that what the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ prophesied, he said that there will be an alliance between Muslims and Rome, or Orthodox Christianity, in the end time. That alliance will come if you join the Russian armed forces to stand up against NATO in the coming nuclear war.
What is the future of Islam in Europe?
There will be no Europe tomorrow.